You're watching Alaska's news source.
Well, developing right now, a washout of parts of the Dalton Highway means the road is closed for the next couple of days. I'm John Thompson.
And I'm Augusta McDonald, glad to be part of the team tonight. And tonight, Department of Transportation leaders now telling Alaska's news source the stretch of the main link to Prudhoe Bay oil fields that floodwaters eroded and washed away this weekend should be open to traffic by Wednesday. Let's take a look at some of that video. The Department of Transportation says in addition to the milepost 315 washout, high water levels caused by the breakup of ice also eroded part of the highway at milepost 345. Repairs to that embankment, however, do share a similar timeline to that of the washout of the culvert at milepost 315. A DOT spokesperson says other areas have stabilized and they do not anticipate any further issues from high waters along the Hull Road.
We're still seeing a lot of changes in the Sag River, meaning more flow at night because that ice has melted. And so we will continue seeing that as we've got warm weather, we've got ice melting, and as we look forward, we don't anticipate there being a whole lot more flooding of surges like we've seen, but we are seeing that change in water flow going up at night.
Once the highway reopens, DOT leaders say travelers can expect to be met by flaggers and pilot cars as that road work continues.
All right, and note that traffic will only be one lane, so drive safely through there. But it's not just flooding that people in northern Alaska are dealing with right now. No,
along with pleasant weather for some of us, our weather team is tracking high temperatures and wildfire starts tonight. Jackie Purcell with us with the forecast. Jackie.
Warm weather is leading to some rapid melting and flooding concerns around the Brooks Range to the Arctic coast. Now, the Sag River as well as the washout are on that Dalton Highway route, and the Colville River, you can see there from the mouth up to the coast, are also under a warning. The flood watch covers the rest of the region, and because it is warm and dry and windy in the interior, a red flag warning is out along with a heat advisory, and this will go through Tuesday. Winds up to 25 miles per hour with low humidity as well as high temperatures are the concern there. And then into the Gulf of Alaska, we still see the spin of low pressure. Interior Alaska, 76 degrees currently, and we're going to continue to see temperatures stay a little cooler here in the south central region overnight. Low temperatures in the Anchorage area down to the 50s. Our chance of showers tomorrow morning. I'll go over the forecast coming up again a little bit later.
All right, Jackie, look forward to that. Thank you. Now, Alaska schools are beginning hiring and spending freezes. That's what superintendents across the state are telling Alaska's news source.
This comes days after the governor, citing falling oil prices, cut $122 million from the fiscal year 2026 budget. Almost $51 million of that comes from statewide education funding. In addition to hiring cuts, some district leaders, including those in rural communities, say they're looking to make cuts impacting their staffing, getting rid of cooks, and switching to pre-packaged lunches. Even cutting extracurricular funding for programs like sports. Some superintendents say as they're considering their next cut, they're making decisions to survive.
But we're also looking at cutting like our school supplies down to the bone. You know, we've been having conversations with our principals for several years that, the budgets have been getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and they've been doing their absolute best to kind of build up a little bit of a stash, because I'm like, hey, the time might come when I have to tell you there is almost nothing when it comes to school supplies.
It's really hard as a community to have those public education impacts, to close schools and to have to move students around, to have to move staff around, to have to cut teachers. Like, those are all really devastating it's been devastating to our community.
Now, we did reach out to all 53 school districts here in Alaska for this report. You can learn more about the schools and how they're bracing for the impacts on our website.
That's right, and Alaska's news source has also made multiple requests for an interview with the governor to discuss his decision. A spokesperson said he would not be available this week.
Well, a man is dead after an officer-involved shooting in Houston.
And the Department of Public Safety saying multiple troopers fired their weapons during a warrant arrest. Joe Allgood reports on what we know so far.
Locals in this Houston neighborhood tell me this is where they heard gunshots late Saturday night, the same time that DPS says a man was shot and killed by Alaska State Troopers. Neighbors say they heard the gunshots about a half hour before midnight when 3 troopers fired on Kyle Lambert, who DPS says had exited a trailer while holding a handgun. The troopers were executing a warrant for Lambert's arrest, who was awaiting trial for drug and theft charges. Lambert tested positive for meth and MDMA while he was released, leading to the most recent warrant. The Alaska Bureau of Investigation is looking into this shooting, while the names of the 3 officers who fired their weapons have not been released yet, but they say they will be in the near future. Joe Allgood, Alaska's news source.
Thanks for your reporting, Joe. And 6 years ago, 19-year-old Cynthia Hoffman was fatally shot and left for dead at Thunderbird Falls. Today, another defendant in her case was back in court. 22-year-old Caden McIntosh, who pleaded guilty last year to second-degree murder for his role in Hoffman's death, is to be sentenced later this summer. Today, and still in custody, he attended a status hearing by phone as prosecutors confirmed that sentencing is still on track for August. Hoffman's family also spoke this morning. Hear from them on our website.
Well, tonight, the family of a 3-year-old is speaking out about the discovery of his body in Cordova earlier this month. Leonardo Leo Hackley's mother says that he was adventurous, joyful, and funny, and called the toddler a complete light to everyone who knew him. Leo died last week after being reported missing on June 11th and was found along the Cordova tidal flats a few hours later after troopers say he wandered away from home. Now, Leo's mom, Jade Hackley, told Alaska's news source that the medical examiner confirmed that he drowned in water near the shore. Jade says that even though Leo was only 3 years old, he taught his family so much. You could read the full story, hear from Leo's mother in the story by Hannah Lee, who spoke with Jade this morning on our website.
And the search continues tonight for missing kayaker in Kachemak Bay. 62-year-old David Meyer was reported missing last Wednesday after he failed to return to Ninilchik that evening. His daughter, Chantrell Meyer, said that volunteers were still searching as of this morning. She told Alaska's news source that the kayak was found near Whiskey Gulch, further south from where her father was last seen. Alaska Dive, Search, Rescue, and Recovery Team has joined other volunteers in water and aerial searches of the area. Meyer was last seen wearing gray fishing bibs and a dark-colored life jacket. As the water gets warmer and more people begin to hit the water, we spoke with a survival expert who says there are a few things every paddler should carry. And Learn to Return instructors recommend choosing brightly colored life jackets because they're easier to see in the water.
Well, the abatement of a growing homeless camp in Anchorage is set to take place tomorrow. The municipality of Anchorage says it will clear the camp at Davis Park in Mountain View out on June 17th or tomorrow. It also says it's been working to connect people at the camp with resources such as shelter, housing, behavioral health services, and more. Additionally, trespassing laws will be enforced in the area, the MOA says. Look for our coverage tomorrow right here on Alaska's news source.
Alrighty, and some neglected dog services are being suspended. An Alaska organization is blaming a social media hack for pausing their ability to save village dogs.
And as Lauren Maxwell reports, they want people to know that they're still in business.
There's a lot of smells. Look at that.
Elfie and Riley are living the good life now.
They both get along with everybody.
That's the journey. But it didn't start out that way.
She came to us severely starved. You can see every bone in her body.
Tanya Crane is fostering 4-month-old Elfie. She's a volunteer with Alaska Animal Rescue Friends, or ARF.
Good boy.
So is Trina Johnson, who adopted her fostered dog Riley 9 years ago.
It's what we call foster failing, when you end up fostering and then you fail at fostering because you end up adopting.
ARF works with volunteers to fly neglected or abused dogs from Alaskan villages into Anchorage.
Oh, she has such big ears.
I know. Where they immediately go into foster homes before being eligible for adoption. The nonprofit gets the word out through social media. But earlier this month, the rescue operation came to a screeching halt when leaders discovered its Facebook page had been deleted.
We literally, as of almost 2 weeks ago, went from 50,000 followers and 14 years of Facebook to zero.
ARP was able to make a new Facebook page, but it's had to start from scratch.
They took everything down. They took every video, photo.
Most importantly, they lost their 50,000 followers, people they depend on for donations, adoptions, and particularly to volunteer as fosters.
Without that social media, I don't know what we're going to do.
They're hopeful people find their new page, follow them again, and volunteer so that dogs like Elfie.
And knowing that I done all I did to make her who she is today is what gets me every time.
Can get the new start they deserve. Lauren Maxwell, Alaska's news source.
Good stuff, Lauren. Thanks so
Awesome.
much. They can all come home with
Right?
us.
Want to bring them home. Every single one of those
Every
cuties.
single one of them, yes.
Yes.
And still ahead on Alaska's News Source, they went home with a prize, but they needed a ticket to win really big.
We're going to hear from the family that took home a massive halibut, but no trophy yet this Derby season.
You're watching Alaska's News Source.
An Alaskan is going home a halibut richer, but is wishing she had invested in a Derby ticket. Jace Bertrand has the story of this Derbyless catch.
A 158-pound halibut became the star of the Valdez Fishing Derby over the weekend. Measuring 74 inches from tail to mouth, the fish was the largest caught at the Halibut Hullabaloo, which had a $1,000 cash prize. There was only one issue. The woman who caught it didn't have a ticket.
We did not know how big it was until we got it up to the boat where we could see it coming up to the surface. And then all you can see is this big open mouth of the fish coming up.
Lorna Illingworth and her husband Chris have been fishing in Valdez for more than 20 years and say they have never caught a halibut big enough for the Derby. That's why when they took their whole family out fishing, they didn't buy the $10 day ticket to enter the competition.
She just didn't think she was going to catch a big halibut, and then lo and behold, she and her husband caught a 158-pounder.
Valdez's Halibut Derby runs from May 24th to August 31st and has a grand prize of $10,000, meaning an especially large fish can net someone up to $11,000 for the season. Despite not winning the cash prize, the Illingworths aren't leaving empty-handed.
We have a 5 cubic foot freezer that is completely full of halibut right now from that fish. So we are going to be giving fish to some of our friends. I actually brought some to give to some of my coworkers today at work, and we'll be eating it all winter.
The family plans to continue fishing in Valdez, now with the season pass. Jace Bertrand, Alaska's News Source.
Thanks for listening. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcast from Alaska's News Source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's News Source app.